The universe doesn't grant wishes. It runs programs. And if you're still not getting what it is that you want, it's not because you're unlucky. It is because you keep running the same program over and over again. Now, when I learned how to run the right program, every single thing in my life changed. I'm talking about from the money that I was making to the love that I attracted, my business and my career started to blow up because I finally understood how the universe works. And that's what I want to show you in today's video. Not just how it works, but how to actually tune into it to use and manifest a completely different life than what you're currently living. Now, I want you to think of the universe as this massive library. And as you can see, it's a big, beautiful library filled with an infinite amount of books. So let's say right now we're currently over here and we're holding this book on this shelf. Now, the book that you're currently holding and the one that you're currently reading is actually your current reality. Now, within your reality, let's say you're at your income, you have like your relationships, you're doing like you're doing the same routines, maybe you're at the same emotional state. Because you're reading that book, that is why you're experiencing all of those things in your current reality. Now, let's say we walk all the way across the library over here and we pick up and we start reading a different book. So let me just change this over here. And now we're all the way over here and we pick up this book on this shelf and we start reading this one. Now, let's say this book actually holds your dream reality. So in this reality, maybe you are married, maybe you're making a lot more money than you are right now, maybe your career is taking off, you feel very emotionally safe, and maybe you have like a great group of friends. Now, what I want you to understand is every single book in this library, it holds a different story, which also means it holds a different reality and a different version of you. Which means there's different choices, there's different expectations, there's different assumptions. It's basically a different life. So what I want you to really understand is all of the books, they already exist, which means every single different reality and every single different version of you already exists in the world. It already exists in the universe. So the universe isn't deciding if you deserve like another book off of this shelf. It's simply giving you the book that you're currently reading and the one that you're currently tuned into. So like for an example, when we went over here, you changed, right? So it's not the same version over here that's reading this book. It's a different version of you. Now, the rule the universe has is you can only read one book at a time, right? So you can't read two books at once. You can't read half of one book and half of another and expect a different reality. So what this really means is if you're trying to create a new version of your life in the same emotional state as your old one, it's not actually going to work. And that is why for me personally, I used to take so much action. I was still in my same emotional state, my same mood. I still had the same doubts, hoping I would get a different outcome, but it didn't necessarily work that way because once again, the universe does not give you what you want. It gives you what you're tuned into. So if you're still reading the same book, but expecting a different outcome, you're not really going to get it. So once again, it's not the fact that what you want, you don't deserve it. It's just the fact that you're expecting to get it in the same state that you're currently in. It's like you keep reading the same chapter, the same last chapter of the book you're reading, hoping for a different ending, but it doesn't actually work that way. So if you want to experience another story, aka another reality, that is when you need to be a match for that program. And that's what I want to get into next. So now that we understand the universe is infinite, every single possibility exists, every single story exists, every single version of you exists. What we want to do is understand that the universe gives us the program that we're tuned into. It gives us all the outcomes, the desires that we are currently emotionally basically stable in, right? So when I say aligning to the right program, what I really mean is the character that you are in with the current story and the reality that you're in. Because in every single story, there's a character that fits that role, that fits that reality, right? So it's all about who they are, their identity, what they focus on, what they expect, and also like how they respond to life. So in quantum physics, every single possibility exists, and the one that we experience is the one that we're tuned into. We understand that. So when it comes to manifestation and actually getting what we want in our life, we don't get what we want based on who we are. We get what we want based on what we're compatible to. So if we want something different, we have to become compatible to the reality that already exists. So what I want you to understand is you cannot have another character with a different set of programs trying to fit into this story. It does not work that way. So if you're still thinking like the old version of you, you're expecting like the old version of you, you're believing and moving like the old version of you, hoping and wishing that you're going to get the outcome that you want from this like story and from this book, it's not going to work. So the question that you're probably asking is, okay, every possibility exists, every version of me exists. How do I actually tune into the right program? And that is where I want to get into frequency. Now, your frequency is basically made up of your mood/state, emotionally charged thoughts, beliefs, and expectations. So that is what makes up your vibration and your frequency to connect to the quantum field. Now, before I move on, I need to share a very important mistake that I made early on when it came to changing my life. And a lot of big mistakes people usually make when it comes to manifestation and once again, really tapping into this frequency. People think when it comes to manifestation, they have to be in a high frequency. Like they have to be happy all the time. They have to be joyful all the time. They have to be excited, jumping off the walls all the time in order for them to get what they want. But that's not actually true. What you really want to do is you want to be in the right frequency. Because let's be honest, being high vibe all the time is not alignment. It is exhaustion because we're humans. We experience so many different emotions all throughout the day. So when I would watch manifestation coaches on social media say, oh, you have to be high vibe, you have to be positive all the time. And when I tried that, and it didn't work because I would always get defeated and go back to my old self being like, oh, I feel really like calm, or I feel kind of like just like mild. I don't feel high vibe. Does that mean it's not working? No, that's not actually true because high frequency all the time, that's not even a thing. It doesn't exist, right? So the key part is getting into the right frequency that once again matches the book and the current reality or the dream reality that you want to experience. So I want to show you an example of what it means to be in the right frequency, to tune into the right program and attract what it is that you want. So for this example, I'm going to use just like making more money because who doesn't want to make more money, right? So the frequency that you might be currently tuned into right now is kind of like the mood and state and like the thoughts of making money is really hard, right? Maybe you only think about like, I'm only going to make $1,000 this week. That's what you're expecting. That's what you're assuming. You know, you just know that like, you know, money is stressful. It's always slow. You have to work so many hours throughout the week. And sometimes that leads you to burning out. You're always noticing high prices when you go to the grocery store and when you go to gas, you know, fill up gas in your car. And that caps you at making like $50,000 a year. So once again, the current reality that you're experiencing, that's it. Like you're making $50,000 a year because your character is tapped into this frequency. So now let's look at the new program. So let's say over here, you know, you pick up a whole different book and you're tuned into a whole different reality. Now, this version of you, the frequency that you're tuned into is money is abundant, right? It's everywhere. That's what you expect. That is what you assume. You understand that money is not stressful. It is not slow. It's not the root of all evil. Money solves problems. Like people actually love to spend their money, right? People love to spend their money. Maybe you love to spend money. You love to receive money. You love to make money. You also believe maybe money shows up expectedly. That is the frequency. Once again, like the mood, the strongly emotional thoughts, the beliefs, and the things that you're expecting to happen in your life. And since you're tuned into that frequency, you actually make $100,000 a year because that is the story that you're currently in. So in this version of you, you start to notice different opportunities that will directly lead you to the $100,000 a year. You're not creating money. You start to notice different pathways, and that's what I actually want you to understand. Because what most people do is, let's just duplicate him. Most people try to come over here and try to get $100,000 with their same programming, right? It's like, okay, I'm going to stay in the same beliefs, the same mood, the same thoughts, and hope and wish I'm going to get there. But in reality, you actually need to shift yourself first, and thus the universe will give you the outcome that you want, aka the program. So once again, the only reason why people don't get what they want is because they believe they can get what they want based on who they are right now. But you can't manifest a new life by insisting on staying the same person. So the last thing that I want to get into now and show you is the exercise that I do every single day to make sure that I am tuning into the right program, so that way I actually experience what I want in my life. So the exercise that I do every single day to tune into my right program and make sure my frequency is aligned is what I call my 30-second lock-in. Now, this is basically throughout the day, anytime you feel like you are reverting back to your current reality, your current frequency, I will close my eyes and I will lock into a specific visualization of my dream life and experience that emotionally with my beliefs, my thoughts, and my moods to actually shift into that frequency. So when you meditate, you visualize your dream life. So for an example, I visualize my dream life of speaking on more stages, writing best-selling books, meeting you guys in person, living in my dream house. Those are a lot of different moments that is happening in my life. So every single day when I do my 30-second lock-in, I don't visualize that entire thing. I visualize a moment of that. So one day I might visualize me speaking on stages and get emotionally charged and tap back into that frequency. Another day I might visualize myself in my brand new home and feel that emotion of feeling loved and calm and just joyful and tap back into that frequency. The reason why this works really, really well is because throughout the day, it's really easy to slip back into your current reality. But when you can emotionally connect to that frequency, it doesn't take long. You don't have to sit there for like 5-10 minutes to do it, 30 seconds. And it's all about emotionally connecting. If you just sit there with your eyes closed and just think about your dream life without actually emotionally connecting to it, it's not going to work, right? So that's why I always say every single day when you're doing this, tap into different moments. You experience something different and you activate kind of like that serotonin and that adrenaline in your body to actually shift your mood and shift your state. And the key thing that I want you to remember, I have this in my notes so I didn't forget. The point isn't to visualize and do this to get your desire. It's to get back into the right frequency, not a high one, right? So you're not doing this to manifest your desire. You're not doing this, to get it faster. You're doing it to tap back into the right frequency. Because remember, every possibility exists. It's not a matter of whether or not you're going to get it. When you're in the right frequency, the universe always delivers it to you. So if you want to tap into a different reality, a different version of you, put down your current book, pick up a new one, and tap into that character, not staying in your old one. So that is all I have for today's video.